Good day, everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's session. It's a preview session for the Middle East Africa Conference, UFI Middle East Africa Conference, that will take place in Dubai World Trade Center on May 26th. That would be the first UFI in-person conference for over 15 months, and we very much look forward to welcoming all the business events community in Dubai. So the MEA conference will host expert speakers from Saudi Arabia, Oman, Germany, United Arab Emirates, and of course other countries across the region to deliver world-class content, to share case studies, lessons learned, plans, and vision for the future. The program will offer fresh perspectives on where we go post-pandemic. It is the opportunity for the business events community to gain insight into topics of strategic interest, including economics, technology, hybrid events, skills, and more. First, allow me to welcome our speakers. I will share my presentation if I find it. Okay, I can't find it. It's fine. Let me welcome our speakers by name. Maybe if Karen, you can share the second slide about our speakers' names for today. So without any particular order, we have Enrico Gallorini, CEO, GRS Research and Strategy. Steen Jakobsen, Assistant Vice President, Dubai Tourism. Wouter Molman, Executive Vice President, Informa Markets. Andy White, Senior Vice President, DMG Events. And Lucie Velcovska, Director of Groups, Conferences and Events, Conrad Hotels. Thank you, Karen. Thanks to our speakers, and again, welcome everyone. Obviously, when we say nowadays a physical event, an in-person event, the first thing that comes to mind is travel, rather than the safety measures that are all in place. And obviously, we have proved as a community that we are doing this at its best. This is why I would love to start with you, Steen, about traveling to Dubai. What does it take? There are a lot of questions that we are receiving as UFI and as people residents of the UAE. How do we travel to Dubai? What are the restrictions? So, in first place, is there a one place that any traveler to Dubai can find all the information, or they have to go to Dubai Tourism website, they have to go to the airlines website that they are using, or they have to check with their home countries, airlines or regulations, where to find all the information?
Well, thank you, Naji, and thank you for the opportunity to be part of the session today. Well, Dubai was one of the first cities, I think, to reopen after the lockdown that we had last year. Already in early July 2020, we opened our borders again for international travel, and since then, Emirates and other carriers, they resumed operations to most parts of the world. So Dubai is again connecting the world and also making, of course, Dubai accessible for anyone who wants to visit Dubai. All the information about travel to Dubai and also the situation in Dubai in terms of COVID sits on a special hub on the visitdubai.com website. So I'll encourage everyone to go on to visitdubai.com and all information will be available there. You can also find information on the Emirates website as well as on the Dubai Airport's website. All this information is obviously information that pertain to travel to Dubai and staying in Dubai, whereas information about your own home country, what requirements are for you to travel from Dubai and back to home countries, that is something that doesn't sit on our website, but I'm sure there are sources available for that on various websites for your own home country.
Thank you, Steen. So to be practical and for the benefit of our delegates sitting on this session today, I have gathered some key questions or repetitive questions that I'm receiving, and I hope we can answer them briefly today to our audience. One of the questions, do I quarantine when I arrive to Dubai? I guess no, as a general rule, right?
No, you don't need to quarantine when you come to Dubai. You will need a negative COVID-19 PCR test before you board your plane in your home country. And if you have that, then that's your ticket to Dubai. You can arrive in Dubai. There's no need to quarantine once you come to Dubai. There are a few countries that requires a second test on arrival in Dubai. Again, that information is available on Visit Dubai, so you will know if you need a second test once you arrive in Dubai.
So whether vaccinated or not, I still need a negative PCR test to enter Dubai, right?
Yes, for the time being, there's no separation between whether you are vaccinated or not. Everyone who's traveling to Dubai will need a negative COVID-19 PCR test.
Okay, so if I do the PCR in the airport, is it free or paid? Very practical question, but it is asked.
Yes, so if you do your PCR test, you will need to do that in your home country before departing to Dubai. That's obviously, if there's a cost involved with that, then it's something that you will need to pay for yourself. Once you arrive in Dubai, there's a cost of a PCR test of 150 dirhams that you can do once you arrive in Dubai. If you need a PCR test when going back to your home country, if that's required, testing is widely available in Dubai, again, at a rate around 150 dirhams to get your negative or to get your PCR test, so you can use that when traveling back to your home country. Okay, great.
Other question also, Steen, what happens to me if the result I get from Dubai is positive? What do I do?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So if you test positive for COVID-19 while in Dubai, you will need to quarantine. We have special quarantine hotels that are available for this. It's very convenient if you travel on Emirates Airlines, which I'm sure a lot of people will do when they travel to Dubai because of the extensive route network of Emirates. What Emirates they offer is an automatic insurance. So that means that the cost that you would have of having to stay in a quarantine hotel will be covered by your insurance from Emirates. Otherwise, it would typically be if you travel with another airline, your general travel insurance will cover such costs also.
I see. Okay. So to know if my country of origin, where I'm coming from to Dubai, is on the no travel list, is there a no travel list first to start with? Are there countries that cannot travel to Dubai denied from the Dubai authorities, not from their authorities?
As such, there's no list? Yeah, no, there's no countries where entry to Dubai is denied, but there are certain countries where flights currently are suspended. That includes South Africa, most recently also India, because of the situation right now we're seeing in India. So for certain destinations, flights have been suspended, but as such, there's not a red list or such that exists. So practically anyone, if there are flights in operation, then you can come to Dubai.
I see. And such a list will be available, this information will be available on the website, right? Dubai Tourism website.
Absolutely. On visitdubai.com, on that website, you will be able to find out which countries flights currently are suspended from and which are in operation. Yes.
Okay. Last question for this first part with you, Steen. So Dubai is on the no travel list as well, or red list, depending what is it called, for some countries, including Saudi Arabia, if I'm not mistaken, and the United Kingdom. So I'm sure there are efforts now being done between Dubai Tourism and other authorities in Dubai, maybe the airport, the airlines, to remove Dubai from such a list. So, and I think Wouter asked a question just now on the chat, if there are, you know, efforts being done or work being done to build maybe bubble travel, we call it, or travel bridges between these countries, and will this change in the near future, or there is no date that we can talk about, and things may change overnight or over week?
There continue to be bilateral conversations between the governments, and the UAE government is continuously in dialogue with governments and in all of those countries that you mentioned. Of course, we would be eager to see that such restrictions are being lifted, that the UAE and Dubai is being removed for such no travel lists. I'm not able to share, because we don't have those insights at the moment, when we can expect those restrictions to be lifted. But for sure, one thing that we can assure is that the conversations are taking place, and we're doing everything that we can from our side to convince authorities in respective countries that the UAE should not feature on such red lists.
Mm-hmm. I see. We have a question from Renate. Renate, if you can unmute yourself, or maybe Karen would unmute you to ask the question before we move to our next speaker. And if you have any other question, our audience, please write it into the chat, and we will take the questions at the end of the session. So, Renate, can you take the mic, or?
Yes, I'm there.
Okay.
Hello to everybody, and very happy to have this session to learn more about the situation. I have a forthcoming show in Abu Dhabi, so I was just wondering whether there's any information on the progress of Abu Dhabi, whether there will be a change in the quarantine situation, and that they will also follow the negative PCR test as Dubai has.
Thank you for that question, Renata. I don't have full insights on the current guidelines that exist for Abu Dhabi, but what I have been following in the news recently is that I think they're starting to operate now with a green list of countries. So if you are coming from one of those green lists, then you don't need to quarantine when you arrive into Abu Dhabi. I'll encourage you to look at the Abu Dhabi tourism website, just like we have on Visit Dubai. Similar website exists for Abu Dhabi that's continuously is updated with information about the travel guidelines.
Thank you, Renate. Thank you, Steen. Now we move to our next speaker, Wouter Molman from Informa Markets. Wouter, you are now under preparation for the Arab Health event together with MedLab on 21st to 24th June. Is this right? These are the dates.
Right.
Yeah. So please tell us about this edition of Arab Health, knowing that Arab Health was or is one of the world's leading medical events in the world. So tell us, how is 2021 edition different than 2019? Obviously, with all the challenges we're going through. So what are the key trends that you are seeing in organizing such a large event during the pandemic?
Well, almost certainly it's going to be very, very different. And Arab Health last year actually ran still in January. I think we're the last event to run in the UAE that was genuinely unaffected by the pandemic. Of course, some events have since run, but with reduced visitor numbers. We're very lucky in that respect. Perhaps a little bit less lucky that we're one of the first to run it again this year. We've clearly postponed it from January this year to June. But when we, throughout the second quarter of last year, started to get the realization that this pandemic was going to be around us for quite a bit longer, we've turned all of our efforts and resources, whether you talk about sales, marketing, content operations, everyone geared towards moving away from the physical events and focusing fully on building virtual events out. And we had very little experience with that. So we had to learn everything from scratch, and the new tactics, the new platforms, how you gear your marketing around that. We managed to run about 6 large-scale virtual events and literally hundreds of webinars, either standalone or as part of that, throughout the year, literally all around the world in places where we run healthcare shows. And we've used those learnings to not only get better at those virtual events, but also to implement that ultimately into a real agile, smart or hybrid event concept around Arab Health this coming June. And that in a nutshell involves a 2-month online event with, right at the heart of it, right in the middle, a live in-person event at the Dubai World Trade Center. And then in the lead up to that event, a series of online focus days. And those focus days are really geared around a specific subject matter or a product category, offering real focused content, networking experiences for a highly targeted audience. And, when I'll be speaking next month as part of the MIA conference, I really plan to focus on the good, the bad, and the ugly of what we've taken away from these virtual events and what we've learned so far from the Arab Health live and online or smart concept that we've put out there.
Mm-hmm. Have these online sessions, focus session, Wouter, jeopardize the physical participation at the event, and consequently jeopardized the revenues that you would have made if there was no this option, for example?
No, in the contrary, it's allowed us to gain and retain revenue. I mean, the reality out there is that the views on virtual events is very mixed, right? If any platform developers that are here on the call would probably say that it's the holy grail. Many of you, I would suspect, have got poor, mediocre experiences with virtual events. And our customers are the same. There's a real mixed bag between people that say, on the one hand, we don't believe in virtual events. We just want physical to return. And you got people that say, yeah, we like physical, but it's just not possible. We don't feel safe, our company doesn't allow us. So the point for us is to create a concept that is agile, that allows a hybrid experience for people for those that want that. It allows for an online only experience for those that want that. So we've been able to retain a lot of revenue that people are now not spending on sponsorship or not spending on their stand or as large a stand, and directed that towards a whole range of online revenue options that we've tailored around this smart concept. So we are sitting at the moment on millions of dollars of online revenue. Roughly 20% of the revenue that Arab Health will generate this June will be digital. That is roughly 4 times more than what we generated in 2020. So that really tells you a little bit how we've been able to shift our revenue towards digital and hold on to that, because that money is, even if we don't run the physical event, now that was something we were worried about 6 months ago. We're full steam ahead, let there be no doubt about that. But we weren't when we created this concept. With all the tax and legal kind of considerations that you can imagine, we built a concept where we can deliver that revenue no matter what happens to the physical event. So we've kind of built a digital safety net, if you like, around the event.
Very interesting. Thank you, Wouter. I'm sure you will speak a lot more in details with real-time, maybe figures during the conference. So this is something we look forward to. I will come back to you with additional questions, maybe as well from the audience. Now I would love to move to Andy White, Senior Vice President, DMG Events. On the same topic, Andy, you are gearing up for the hotel show cluster on May 31st to 2nd of June. This is 4 or 5 days after the UFI conference in Dubai on May 26th. Before I ask you how is it going and what new trends you are seeing, I want to ask you this. Do you believe that you have made the right decision to go physical this year? Or if time goes back, you would have changed this decision and say, no, let's postpone another 6 months or 3 months?
You know, I think it would have been very easy for us to say, let's not run the show in May. I mean, we build up 2 days after the UFI conference, and there's been times along the path over the last 18 months where we just think, well, look, we've postponed the show. Do we postpone it again? And our view was, no, what we do is we run events, and that's what we have to do. DMG hasn't run an event in Dubai for a long, long time now. We need to get back to running events. That's what we do. You know, if you look at it financially, does it make sense to run the events? Probably not, but that's not really the point here. The point is that Dubai has gone to great lengths to make this place fit for events. They've done such a great job. You look at the Dubai World Trade Center, they put on shows in very, very challenging conditions successfully. So, you know, I think as an organizer, we have a certain level of duty to put shows on, even if they're not going to be what we would like them to be. I think when I look at the show now and look at where we're going to be at the end of May, I think we put a show on that will be a good show. That'll be different from what it normally is. It won't be a big international show that we would normally have, where we have 65 to 70% of our audience, of our exhibitors being international. It is more of a local show. We would normally attract regional visitors, and I don't think we're going to do that. I think we're going to get local visitors. So I think what we've done is we've said, well, we're going to run the show, whatever we do here, and I think it's absolutely the right thing to do. I think that we would be wrong not to run it personally, but I think we've changed what we've done, the way we've approached it from a sales and marketing perspective, and how do we make that change. And I'm not going to use the word pivot because I hate this word pivot. I don't quite understand what it means, to be honest with you. But we just had to change our event from being an international event to being a local event, but a local event that is high in content, in features. And you bear in mind, our event is a very tactile event. It's an interior design show, it's a hotel show. We're very different from Wouter's show, where it's a very high level of content. You know, it's not about that. So us, it's about getting content where we can, getting networking events, social events, and trying to bring people together locally where they haven't been together for a long, long time. So we have no regrets about doing this. It has been a struggle. I mean, no sort of excuses for the fact that we've had to really struggle to put this together. But we have a show, and it will be a good show. So no regrets at all.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Andy. So if you can please explain a little bit about the cluster of events very quickly to our audience. And obviously the profile of the hotel show event is different from another, from like Arab Health, for instance, and the digital content may not be as needed as in a health-related event. So how are you doing on that? And are you offering any digital tools that would support your face-to-face events?
Well, our events, again, as I said, they're very sort of tactile events. There's a lot of product. The focus is product there. You know, if you're an interior designer, you come to source chairs and beds and furniture. And it's very difficult to replicate that online. You want to sit in the chair, you want to feel the fabric. That's how it works. And it's the same with a hotel show as well. So, I mean, for us to put something online, we've done a lot of webinars, and they've been very successful. Good quality speakers and good quality content. And what that does for us, it does two things. One is it keeps us very close to our marketplace. And that means that we maintain our brands in front of our customers, whether they be exhibitors or visitors. The other thing it's done really, really well is generate leads for us. Now, that's exhibitor leads, sponsor leads, but also potential visitors. So really for us, we haven't done an online event. It would be very difficult to do that in our sector. I know some people do it, and they do it very, very well. And even in DMG, shows like AfricaConference have done it very, very well. It's not really for us. Everything we do is geared towards that live event. So from our perspective, we're not doing a hybrid event. It is about bringing people to our event over 3 days. But I would say in the future, what we definitely will be doing, and one thing we've learned, is that things like webinars are going to become a normal part of our marketing mix throughout the year. Because what they do is that they do reach people who, you know, maybe particularly exhibitors who are overseas, who you're not speaking to through the year, and you want to try and attract those exhibitors into your event. It's a great way of doing it. But for us, you know, we're about face-to-face. The exhibition industry is about face-to-face. And from our perspective, that's what we're interested in. And everything we do from a technical perspective, from a content perspective, is about bringing people to that event over the 3 days.
Okay, sure. So you still have 1 month of preparation, of sales, of promotion, marketing. So at the conference, at the UFI conference, end of May, what the delegates can take away after the case study session that you will present during the event?
Well, obviously, as an event organizer, our aim is always to give people value when they attend an event. So I'm hoping that my 10 to 15 minutes at the UFI conference on the 26th will deliver some value. So what I'm going to talk about on the 26th is really how we've changed our business from a sales perspective primarily, to focus on how we attract more local companies to the event. Because Dubai is a very mature market, and I think probably with our events, we've been very reliant on international sales coming through third parties for a long, long time. Now, the international sales through agents that we have, that is going to decline. This is a mature market. It's no longer a frontier market here in Dubai. I would say Saudi is different, but we cannot rely on international sales coming through third parties forever. It's just not going to happen. So we've had to change our sales team. We've changed a lot of our people, even though we have lost people. We've also changed people. We brought new people in, and we brought new people in who are selling in a different way. We don't have the, and I hate the term, it's a horrible term, the phone basher who's making 100 phone calls trying to get a 9-meter stand. That is finished. We're not doing that anymore. We're approaching in a very different way of getting people who can actually get in front of people. And it might sound very strange in the current climate, but actually we've been getting in front of our clients more than we'd ever have. Where we can, because we all know that face-to-face is the best way to sell products, so therefore we're doing it ourselves. So we've had to change the way we sell, we've had to change the people that we employ. We've also had to look at our events, and bearing in mind that our events are probably going to be 50% smaller than they would normally be because we don't have international exhibitors. We had to change what we do to make our shows appealing to visitors. So, we've got a show that's got half the number of exhibitors. What do we do? So what do we do to bring people to the event? Those people who are thinking your show's going to be small, I won't come this year, or more importantly, those people who've never been before, how do we bring them to the event and make sure they come? The local companies who say, I don't need to see people, I don't need to come to your event. Well, we've changed that, and we introduced a lot of content, a lot of social events, parties, award ceremonies that we've had to introduce to make this not just a trade exhibition. We've had to really change that, and I think we've done that successfully. Obviously, we'll know, about around the 31st, sorry, about the 2nd of June, we'll know whether it's been successful. But certainly on the 26th of May, I'll be telling people how we've done that and what we've done and what we've learned and how we're going to change that permanently in our business.
Thank you, Andy, and we surely look forward to your session on the 26th of May at the UFI conference. Now, after traveling to Dubai, our overseas delegates and speakers need to stay in Dubai, and they are staying in Conrad hotels. So we have with us Lucie from Conrad hotels to talk more about the safety measures taken at the hotel. Lucie, hi again, and please take us through the safety measures that you have taken at the Conrad hotels to ensure the safety and well-being of all your visitors and guests. And I will come back to you with another question on the trends you're seeing in hotels, in booking and occupancy at your hotel. So please, Lucie.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Naji. Thank you for having me on the call. Yeah, we are very glad to kind of partner with you on that conference. And I have to say that we are taking all the measurements very seriously. I'm not sure if all of you are aware of this, but the Conrad hotels, we belong to Hilton portfolio. So we are part of the luxury kind of chain of the hotels belong to Hilton. And I have to say Hilton worldwide always took all those safety measurements very seriously as of beginning of the pandemic. And I believe it was also one of the first kind of the worldwide chains coming up with a lot of precautions and a lot of measurements already at the beginning of the pandemic. So I believe our first kind of elevated procedures started coming up already in April last year. And we obviously during the summer, we developed it very much. And now you can see all those procedures being done in more than 6,300 hotels we are operating worldwide. So I just put together a very slide presentation for you to see what our delegates are experiencing when they come to our property, because we are not only accommodating delegates, but we are a very big convention hotel. So we have all those procedures, both for the guest rooms, for the public areas, as well as for our whole convention center. So upon our arrivals, you will see that we take care of the guests, even just in case they would need a doctor upon arrival, in case they will need to get their PCR tests done in a hotel, it's possible as well. We are more than willing to arrange the self-parking, despite the fact that self-parking is not very kind of popular in Dubai, because everybody would like to do valet. But just in case somebody would like to park the car by themselves, they are more than welcome to do so. And obviously, we are checking the temperatures almost everywhere around the property. You will find the social distancing stickers all around the place. We try to do a lot of stuff as contactless as possible. So from your first experience upon arrival, while meeting our team on the check-in desk, up until going to food and beverage and ordering the food through our QR codes, you will be kind of able to distance yourself from anybody else. We took care of our public areas. We do regular sanitization. We clean everything up until to complete detail. You will have the sanitization station all around the hotel, available literally everywhere. In the guest rooms, we are following Clean Stay program, which Hilton developed already last year. And it's very much detail-oriented plan how to disinfect and how to clean our guest rooms. While all the protocols are being done, and once the bedrooms are being checked by the supervisors, we place the Hilton seal on the door. So basically nobody is able to enter the guest room up until your particular arrival. So you can be 100% sure that there was absolutely nobody before you in that room, and it was only our housekeeping team who cleaned the room. We are trying to declutter the guest room as much as possible in terms of the paper, the pens, or if there are any, and we are more than happy to provide it upon request. Everything is sanitized and basically individually packed as well. And for the event space, we have a lot of procedures in place, and we take great care of our event planners. Basically before the event, we disinfect absolutely everything, and we have a couple of high spots which are usually being touched, and we walk our customers, our event planners, and they are assessing basically the cleanliness with us. We have the full protocol in place, and we are basically doing the checklist. And only once they are fully confident that their attendees can go and enter the meeting room, then we again seal it. Nobody can go inside the meeting room up until the main organizer advises us to do so. So there are a lot of kind of precautionary measures being taken care of, and we just want to make sure that both our guests who are coming to the hotel and the event organizers feel very comfortable. And this is one of the kind of thing we are following. So when our team goes and cleans the room, they are focusing the most on 10 high touch points, and we deep clean them literally every single time. And there are a lot of protocols in place as well. And this is how we assess our meeting rooms. We call that program event ready. So we are definitely event ready from our point of view, not only for the event planners and the organizers, but also the delegates who are coming and staying with us, because we just need to make sure that they are very comfortable basically doing in-person events. That would be for me. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much for sharing this information, Lucie. Another question to you, please. You are director of groups,
yes.
Events, conferences, and events. So, how did you see that the comeback of business pace in your hotel? How do you compare it with the same period compared to last year or how you compare it also compared to 12 months from now, since the beginning of the pandemic? And when do you expect? Do you have expectations on when bookings will come back to normal rates?
So it's very, very great question, to be honest. You know, when we are comparing ourselves to the current period we do not even think about 2020, because literally our last biggest group and last biggest event happened on the 20th March 2020, which was basically what I'm talking, our normal standard of business would be 350 people group coming to have a conference for 1,200 people. So this was our last event we've done. I see that now people are more willing to meet in person. We started having actually in-person events already in September last year. They were not that big. So what we actually see is that the number of attendees is shrinking, and people really would like to feel comfortable on the property. And we see that the booking window obviously is very, very last minute. So even if we are having the events and it's for, I think the biggest one we've done was in November or December, and we had 450 people basically in our largest ballrooms, which was a great deal for us because it was the biggest one since the beginning of the pandemic. They were with us for 3-4 days. However, they signed a contract with us only, let's say 3 weeks before arrival, because they didn't feel comfortable that everyone will be willing to come, and that people will be able to travel. So this is what we see. Everything is last minute. The booking window is short, it's very, very short, and people are searching for flexibility. So even when it comes basically to individual bookings, and not only for groups or for conferences, everyone would like to, you know, make sure that just in case something happens, they are able to either rebook or cancel. So they search for the flexibility basically on everything. But we see great trends basically as of, I would say, mid of September. We are going into very high pace in our property, which is great to see. So hopefully it will continue, and we sign up a lot of large events already for January 2022 onwards. So we hope it will come back very soon.
Thank you, Lucie. And now I'd like to move to the Master of Research and Data, Enrico Gallorini from GRS. Enrico, how are you first? Good?
Very good. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Great. Enrico, you've heard Wouter talking about the digital experience for Arab Health audience, and you've heard Andy White talking about the importance of face-to-face for their cluster, for the hotel show cluster. So from your observation, doing a number of research for different organizations, what key trends what key trends can you share about the customer's behavior change or customer or exhibitor approach to real life exhibitions? Is there a change in the appetite to exhibit, in the appetite to visit a physical event? Any observation on that, Enrico?
For sure, what we see is that the beneficiaries of these collective events that we call exhibition, so visitors and exhibitors, are obviously changing their behaviors about participating to the show. And I think it's very important to understand there will be a very hyper segmentation on behaviors. So as was very clear for Informa Arab Health, so the need of the visitors and exhibitors and all beneficiaries are different in the case of hotel shows. So if maybe in the past was much more easy to, I wouldn't say easy, but was possible to benchmark more the behavior of the beneficiaries through different industries and different elements of our collective events. Today, I think it's much more important to understand really the needs and really go deeper on what the customer wants and try to give them exactly what they're asking. And for sure, what we have seen is that we went through a disaster period for our industry, that's for sure. But in any case, this disaster period also allowed us and allowed us the supply chain that work inside of the industry to understand how much is important the exhibition industry for the entire economy. And especially for each cluster, it's very clear that the role of what we call exhibition, but this collective moment of minds and everything need to have this space. And the space is incredibly exciting for the future, because we're no more talking about only a physical space. We're talking about every possible connection, online, offline. We have many more instruments to interact with our beneficiaries. We have discovered that for sure technology can help, but technology is not everything. But at the end of the day, and I think is also the reason why I'm super happy that UFI is going to organize this physical event in Dubai, is that the soul of our industry is based on human-to-human relations. So that can be the core also of the future. So if we think about customer behavior, what is changing, it's the numbers that we have and the show that we have worked with, the few shows that happened, is that there will be less people in the show, but maybe they spend more time, more qualitative time, but especially they are higher profile. So maybe in the past there were 5 people coming from a company. I would expect less people, but maybe the decision maker. So, and at the end of the day, we really have to care much more about the quality of the people coming. So understanding that the people, the beneficiaries, exhibitors and visitors will be self-qualified, because the people that are deciding to come, especially during pandemic, they have to do a lot of decision that is not only based on the business, it's based also on the fact that if they travel, maybe the wife say, why are you traveling? And when you come back, you have to do the quarantine and everything. So there is a lot of things that are changing. And I think, for example, all the governments are doing a great job. Impressive what has been done here by the Dubai government, and very interesting also to hear from the voice of the Dubai tourism, the involvement that they have also for the UFI conference, because at the end of the day, we know that exhibition are really the engine that make a lot of things happening, not only on that specific niche where the exhibition is about, but all around the event itself. So this is why I like to call it collective event. On the other hand, what is interesting from our data and everything is that because we will travel maybe less in the future, especially during the pandemic, the experience itself, it's very fundamental. So, and the experience is exactly, for example, what was mentioned by Lucie, and the experience in the hotels, or Andy mentioned about the experience outside of the business itself, but also this gathering, this moment of human-to-human relation will be really the driver also of the choice of moving and going one place. So it's no more about only the business itself, but is if I have to choose it, I want many other things that happen all together. And if we think in a right way, this is quite, again, it's a disaster for our company as it was, but for what we are building for the new future, I think it's very exciting, because maybe we don't need a lot of people. We need the right one. And we need the right one that are very committed to invest and use our instruments, our tool, our collective event to generate business. This is the soul of what we do as an exhibition industry. So I think for sure this collective moment will be important to see how we will work. And it's great that we will have a first meeting with UFI also to speak about and try to maximize the experience of everybody, because now it's no more about competition, exhibition against other exhibition. It's cooperation to understand and create value for the entire ecosystem that is not only exhibition itself, but is everything that is related about making the world going innovative and in a new way of the future. I hope I answered your question.
Indeed, Enrico, collaboration is key, and human-to-human relation is always important. So you are a speaker at the UFI conference, and you'll be presenting findings of a new study. Any teaser you can share with us today about your session at the conference? And
for sure, the most important thing is that this research want really to be something like a collaboration tool. So first of all, the research has as a target exhibition managers and exhibition directors, and we try to collect the point of view of our industry. It will be released and you will receive an email in a few days. So first of all, please answer and dedicate your time to share your point of view and to give the feedback in order to understand what would be your expectation, because technically it's very important that we try also to see what are the dimensions that exhibition are expecting, the new formats that they are putting in place, and share those things all together, face-to-face or virtual, it doesn't care, but share those elements of knowledge, because I really believe that there is an interesting future, exciting future for our industry, and never like now, the role of UFI to collect the industry knowledge, it's fundamental. But as always, is based on the associated and all the people that participate to UFI to share their point of view. Our role, like a research company, is just to try to put the things together, to summarize and make in a format that is possible to understand clearly. But at the end of the day, it's an effort that as an industry, thanks to UFI, we have to collect those information. And for sure, we want also to go through the concept of hybrid events, and especially also what we expect for the next generation and integration of virtual, hybrid, or whatever we want to call, because it's a good news for our industry that we can really use data in a new way. So it means a lot of things, but let's start from the basic and share how we expect to use those information. And maybe also the last things that I want to say about our research, it's also to understand how the companies are allocating their budget around investment for the new generation of exhibition. Super interesting what mentioned Wouter about the revenues and this concept of make safer thanks to this new generation of events. So these are the things that we hope with this collective moment of data that we are going to collect to share with the industry. And thanks again, obviously, to UFI to run these activities.
Sure, thank you, Enrico, and looking forward to your session as well. Now coming back to you, Steen. Before talking about Dubai business events, one more question. You may not have the answer now, but this is something also that comes to mind. So we've seen, big campaigns about getting vaccinated, that vaccination would protect the people, the people who take the vaccination and the people around them. While when we look at the restrictions or regulations taken to protect, citizens or cities or countries, we do not see that the vaccinated people are treated differently or have any additional privilege. I know it's for people's own health, obviously, but when it comes to travel, why there is no exemption for vaccinated people from a ban of travel, for example? Is this something that we might see in the future, just because it's still new now, or there is something else we need to know?
I think it's a really good question, Naji, and I think we're starting to see the beginning of how the vaccination drive, both here in Dubai and the UAE, that's been very successful, by the way. More than 65% of the eligible population has already been vaccinated in the UAE, but also elsewhere that are making good progress in terms of their local vaccination drives. I know that IATA are testing a new travel pass. They've teamed up actually with Emirates. they've tested that on a number of flights already with Emirates, where the IATA travel pass would be directly linked to health authorities databases. So if you have you've had a vaccination against COVID, then that will then be visible on your IATA travel pass. Likewise, if you had a negative COVID-19 PCR test done, and we're also seeing in other countries that there are local COVID passports. Some are calling it are being rolled out to give certain privileges to people who are vaccinated. Whether we will see that here in Dubai and the UAE, I think is uncertain at this point. But one thing that I do, think is important is that we've come so far in rolling out the vaccination program here in Dubai and the UAE. We've come much further, and thank God for that, and in many other countries. And I think that eventually will allow us also to open up and to eventually remove some of the last remaining restrictions that we see.
Great. Dubai Business Events, Steen, it is the city's official convention bureau, so it's the other name of a convention bureau for Dubai, and it is a division of Dubai Corporation for Tourism and Commerce Marketing under Dubai Tourism. And I have to say that and thank Dubai Tourism for being a destination partner for the conference, and the CEO of DCT, Mr. Isam Kazim, will be a speaker at the conference as well. But here I wanted to ask you, how do Dubai Business Events support event organizers? I know you have a very good scheme in place that supports not only in cash, but also in kind. I think it's the only of its kind in the region, or at least up to my knowledge. So who can apply for such a support, and what are you aiming to achieve through this?
First of all, it's important to say that business events in general, whether it's conferences or exhibitions or other types of meetings and incentive travel programs for that matter also, it's a really key pillar of tourism sector in Dubai. And that's why there's a strong focus on that from our side in Dubai Tourism. We really want to continue to drive this as a very, very strong sector for Dubai. Dubai has shown this over the last many decades that we are an events capital, and we've seen how events are driving economic development within so many sectors. And we are a firm believer in events and how they contribute to economic development and many of the other things actually that we've talked about today on this webinar. So that's why it's an important sector for us to continue to support, see it thrive, that we drive in international events that can take place in Dubai, but also nurture the existing events as well as new events that are coming up in Dubai. So from our side, we are the one-stop shop for event organizers, the go-to place in Dubai. We have an extensive list of services and support that we extend. Some can be financial support towards event organizers. Some can be more of sort of in-kind nature. But what's really important is that we can help connect the dots for many event organizers, whether it's in the government sector or in the private sector. We can be the one that makes those introductions, make those connections. So if you are an event organizer looking to put on an event in Dubai and may not be too familiar with Dubai, we can help you navigate, we can help facilitate introductions and contacts, which we often find is the most important thing once you're in the stages of planning an event.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Steen. And just on time, there's a question for you from Ian Sterling. Ian, if you can take the mic, please, and ask Steen directly the question. Hello.
Hi, Steen. Hi, nice to see you again. Just a quick one, based on your close proximity to Abu Dhabi, and I mean, what stops anybody from, say, flying into Abu Dhabi and then moving across to Dubai for an event? How do you control that?
So obviously there's a wider coordination of the whole effort towards in handling the pandemic, which is done at a federal level, and then equally also each emirate like Dubai and Abu Dhabi is also, of course, we have our efforts and our strategy and our plans towards it. So far, there's been some regulation that has been a bit different from in Abu Dhabi. That's been a bit different from the one in Dubai. Residents in Dubai and Abu Dhabi have been able to move between the two Emirates if they have negative test, PCR test certificates that can allow them, or even are vaccinated, then you can travel between the two Emirates. It has also been requirements that if you travel to one Emirate and you want to go to another one, and if you're an international visitor, then you will need to quarantine by going into Abu Dhabi. Some of those restrictions will, I think, eventually be lifted. Again, I'll encourage anyone that wants to know that what the requirements are to travel between Dubai and Abu Dhabi, to go on to the Abu Dhabi tourism website, because that's where the information sits on what regulation is in place for visiting visiting Abu Dhabi. But as such, if you travel into Abu Dhabi, you can go to Dubai. That's not an issue. Going the other way, I recommend that you have a look at the Abu Dhabi tourism website.
Yeah, great. Thank you. One thing I know is that if you land in Abu Dhabi and you want to go to Dubai directly, that's very possible. But you have to take Abu Dhabi airport taxi, and then you do not need to quarantine in Abu Dhabi. If you're staying in Abu Dhabi, you quarantine. However, you can't from the airport take a taxi and go an airport taxi and go directly to Dubai and avoid the quarantine in Abu Dhabi. Thank you so much. Before we close, I would love to thank again all our speakers here and all the speakers on the conference. You can see the full list on the link that my colleague Nick has shared on in the chat function. I would like to thank Dubai World Trade Center for being the host of the conference, thanking Dubai Tourism for being the destination partner as well. Big thank you to our to the conference partners and sponsors, Abu Dhabi National Exhibition Company, ADNEC, Info Salons, and Event Maker. If you have any unanswered question, please send it to media@ufi.org, and please post on social media on all these handles. I would love also to invite you to our next UFI Connect session on UFI Asia Pacific Conference that will be held online on Thursday, April 29th, with Christopher Kilby from Informa Markets, moderated by UFI's Mark Cochrane. And also, I'd love to invite you to attend our upcoming conferences, the Asia Pacific Conference, the MEA Conference, obviously in Dubai. If you haven't registered, please do so. Check your travel needs to come to Dubai if you live outside of the UAE. And in 10 days or 2 weeks after the MEA conference, we will be hosting the European conference, again online, on 9 and 10 of June. Again, on the right side in the chat function, my colleague Nick is sharing with you all the necessary or relevant links for you to know more about the program, the speakers, and the registration process for all 3 conferences. I obviously look forward to seeing you in person in Dubai. And before closing, big thank you to our UFI Diamond sponsors, Thailand Convention Exhibition Bureau, Qatar National Tourism Council, Shenzhen World, and Freeman. Thank you so much for attending. Thank you, Steen, Enrico, Lucie, Andy, and Wouter. Thank you to all our audience, and hope to see you in Dubai on May 26th in person. Bye-bye.